Hello. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Mandy, and this is my Mandy Yoga. Today, you'll need 2 blocks and a blanket, and you can just have those kind of lying to the side because we'll get to those closer towards the end of our class, and of course, your chair. And for today, try to find a chair that doesn't have any arms on it so that we have that movement from this space here. And find your knees and ankles nice and stacked. And then make your way nice and tall. So really kind of drawing height up through your sits bones all the way to the crown of your head. And that's kind of this back spot here, the crown of your head. And we'll let our arms and shoulders relax down, palms facing up towards the ceiling, closing your eyes. And really following this breath that you're currently taking in or out. And just continuing to follow breath as you take it in. And notice if you're taking breath more into your belly or more into your chest. And don't worry about that yet. We'll get there. And notice if your breath feels like it's maybe a little forced today, or if it just feels kind of what you think of as your normal. Either way, no judgment. We're not here to judge how our bodies feel. We're just kind of taking note so that when we finish our practice, we'll come back to this place and then we can kind of compare with how we feel now as to when and after we feel after we've finished our practice. And we'll start very slowly just to hinge at your hips and lead with your chest. Hinge forward. You can allow your head and neck to relax, or you can kind of stay a little bit more upright, chest parallel to your mat or to the floor. And we'll slowly start to press into your feet, draw belly muscles in, slowly make your way up nice and slow. Once you're all the way up, hands tops of your thighs, shoulders relax down. And we'll just find just a little bit of movement with our pelvis. So we'll just kind of shift our pelvis forward and back. And it doesn't really matter how exaggerated you do this. Mine may seem really exaggerated. I'm doing that on purpose to show you. And we just find this forward and back movement. And if you're familiar with yoga, maybe you've done this with me before, you know that we're kind of working into getting to our cat-cow movements. So if you're instinctively already doing them, that's perfect. That's what I want for you. Is this kind of idea of muscle memory where we already kind of know what to do next. So the next time you start to really open into your chest, maybe gaze maybe across the room up towards the ceiling, but not looking straight up, just kind of over to the horizon. And on the exhale, we'll start to round our spine, draw our chin in towards our chest and chest towards our hips. Inhale, we open up, we lengthen up, open into our heart. Exhale, round. And we just continue this, nice and open. And exhale, we round, chest towards hips, chin towards chest. And we just continue this forward and back movement, really opening into our spine. Let's finish this one that we're working on. And when you finish, so we'll end with the one that's the exhale, this rounding. And make our way back up to this tall seated position. And then we'll fold forward again so we stay nice and tall. Hands can stay tops of your thighs. We exhale, hinge at your hips, lead with your chest. We hinge forward. And chest starts to become parallel with the floor. Press into your feet, belly strong. Slowly make your way all the way back up again. Well, then start to extend. So right hand can come here inside the hip. I kind of like it to be on the seat of my chair just because it gives me a little bit more stability. So we start to roll our shoulders down. We're going to start to extend left fingertips up. So just go at first to this place where we feel that this left shoulder is still hooked in. So we're not raising it up. We're keeping it plugged into our shoulder, and then start to reach with your side body. So from hips to bottom set of ribs. That's when this right hand to your chair is helpful. It doesn't matter how far you go, it's just that you're creating this length in the side of your body, this side. And it's also kind of scrunching this side. Just a couple more breaths here. And we'll slowly start to make our way back up. We'll let our left hand extend all the way down. The left hand's going to come down, so I'm going to kind of stick that right onto my chair so that I'm kind of gripping it a little bit, not a hard grip. And then when you're ready, we lengthen right fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then when you're ready, we start to lengthen. So we kind of lengthen with our whole body, not just with our arm. And we keep ourselves nice and tall, really lengthen here. And breathing into the space that you're creating here in the side of your body. And maybe when you take a breath in, especially here into the ribs and into the side of your belly, you might feel that space lengthen just a little bit more. And we'll slowly start to make our way upright and let your right arm come all the way down. We'll find our twist, and we'll just find just to start. So find this center of your chest. You'll slowly start to take this center point of your chest and then slowly just keep those feet nice and planted. Slowly just bring your chest over towards your left side. Hands for support, so right hand, top of the thigh, side of the thigh. Just don't feel like you need to take this hand and force into your twist. We're just going to support ourselves into our twist today. And then when you feel you're in this good position, you're still real tall, then look over your left shoulder. Maybe draw belly muscles in just a little bit. You might get a little bit more extension whenever you're starting to twist a little bit more into your rib cage. We'll slowly start to come forward, so nice and slow. We're going to lead with our chest as we make our way forward. Head comes around last. Same thing, so we're just going to lead the same exact way over towards the right. Still feet real planted, still real tall. And when you get here to this spot that you feel like you're real good, so you have a good grasp to your chair, the back, anywhere you'd like. Sometimes even the back of your seat is more comfortable if you'd like that. It kind of brings the shoulder down a little more, looking over your right shoulder. Again, maybe drawing belly muscles in. And we'll slowly start to make our way forward. Our heart we lead with. So we slowly shift forward, head and neck follows last. And then once you're forward, let's hinge at our hips and lead with our chest again. And we'll slowly start to unhinge, nice and slow. Pause when you're all the way up. Making your way up tall, shoulders relax down. And we'll find here, left leg. So you might have to kind of pick it up a little bit. It's kind of heavy. Cross it over your right thigh. And so this ankle kind of serves as leverage. So kind of use the ankle as like this outer point here. And then kind of settle in. So sometimes just taking this position is quite a lot on our knees, especially as the weather changes. And just kind of find yourself here. If this becomes too much for you, you can always cross it over a little bit in front or even down closer towards the ankle, just to kind of give your knee a little bit of a break. And once here, so we kind of check in here. And make sure that you're, again, really tall here. So as we start to move through, I always can't bring my hands to the tops of my leg because it just makes it feel like it's too much weight. So if you notice, my hands might come in towards me as I start to hinge forward. So, but just to start, just find a little bit of movement as we are right here. So this is getting really deep into the muscles sometimes that we're shifting here up in towards our buttocks. So you can find different kind of ways to suit your own needs. So everyone's a little different here. So I find sometimes that I even shift all the way over and then all the way over to the other side. But that also depends on balance too, if that feels comfortable for you. Then we have more options. So we can stay just like this, nice and upright, or we can start to hinge at our hips and lead with our chest. And same thing here. So you can find that movement that feels good for you here. So you can kind of make it really deep and kind of really take the knee over towards the left. You can take it really deep over towards the right. You decide what you need here. Sometimes just hinging forward is all you need. So we're kind of working towards discomfort, and that's the muscles that are needing some help, some attention. So you'll kind of notice them because it kind of feels good. It hurts a little bit, but it feels really good. And I wouldn't describe this as being pain. It's more like it feels kind of good to stretch it. And however you're choosing, we're going to have just a couple more breaths here. And if you're wanting a little bit of stillness, here's your chance here to kind of relax and fold forward. You choose if you want to let your head and neck relax or a little bit more upright. Either of those options are perfect. You can fold as far down as you choose though, and as much as your body will let you. When you're ready, we'll slowly start to make our way up. We'll use our hands for support. We're going to pick this leg up. We're going to set it down. Find, again, just make sure that they feel like they're right back to where we started with knees and ankles nice and stacked. It just helps with stability. And then we'll pick up our right leg when you're ready and cross it over. So again, this side might be a little bit more tighter than your left side, so make sure you take a moment to give you this side a little bit of a break if it's a little bit too much too fast, and especially if this is hard on the knee joint. So remember, you can always kind of cross it down for a little bit, maybe even further down towards the ankle, and just be patient here and know that just because it didn't happen today or it's not working out and it doesn't feel good today doesn't mean it will always be like this. And also that we can just kind of work through slowly, and we have a lot of patience with our body. And we'll just kind of go through some of the same things. You can still get some of these same benefits just by these kinds of movements here and here. I mean, it won't be nearly as intense, but we don't always need that intense stretch in order to get benefits from it. So we just find our movements that feel good. And again, I go all the way over towards the left, all the way over towards the right, just kind of, again, maybe use your chair for a little bit of stability so that you don't slip. And we find just what feels good here. And then if you feel good here, so I like to kind of come up a little bit nice and tall first before I start to hinge at my hips and lead with my chest, just to make sure that I'm getting that good length that I need. And then we just fold forward and we just check in here. So what feels good for us here? And again, that may be all the way over to your left, maybe all the way over to your right. If you need some help with your chair, that's what it's there for. And taking a moment to really enjoy your pose. And we did some stillness, so let's add a little bit of stillness here too. And sometimes the stillness is the most beneficial, and I want for you to go to what feels best for you. So not always, movement isn't always the best cue for everyone. Some of us need more stillness in our poses, and I always want you to find what feels good for you here. Especially these kinds of poses where we can kind of personalize them a little bit more. It's not like your Warrior One where it's a little bit more simplified. They can really have a lot of additional movements that can really help us feel good, really work out those extra kinks that we have. And we'll slowly start to make our way up nice and tall. And we'll use our hands for support to pick up this leg, and we'll sit it down. And take your feet a little bit wider this time. And when you're ready, we'll hinge at our hips and lead with our chest. We hinge forward again. This time, if you'd like, you can find your way nice and tall, lengthening out through the crown of your head. And if you'd like, you can also bring fingertips to ankles or to the floor in front of you and relax completely down if you choose. We're going to add a little bit of movement here. So when you're ready, we're going to find a half lift. So you can always bring your feet a little bit closer in if that feels good for you. We find a half lift. On the exhale, we relax back down. On the inhale, we reverse swan dive up. So nice and slow. We bring our arms all the way up and exhale the hands down in front of our heart. We'll do this a few times. When you're ready, we inhale, lengthen arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive down, nice and slow. Inhale, hands to shins, straight spine or ankles is perfect. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up, press into your feet, unhinge, belly strong all the way up. Exhale, hands down in front of your heart. We'll do that again when you're ready. We inhale, lengthen arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, hands to shins, straight spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up. Exhale, hands down in front of your heart. We'll do one more just because it's feeling so good. On the inhale, we'll lengthen up. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, hands to shins. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive up. Nice straight spine all the way until we get all the way up. Exhale, hands down in front of our heart. We'll pause here a moment. You can heel toe your feet all the way in if you'd like. And kind of catch up to your breath a little bit. We'll use hands for support to our chair if needed. We're just going to make our way to a standing position, so you can kind of bring your feet in if you choose, use your legs for support. We come all the way to standing. And once you're here, pause here a moment. So just kind of check in. Just notice how you feel here. Letting your arms relax down to your sides. Just really kind of getting acclimated with standing up nice and tall, shoulders down. And then we're going to need to move our chair. So we're going to turn so that our chair is more towards the top of our mat. Excuse me. Thank you. And we're going to turn our chair around so that we're going to use the back of our chair for support. And my chair is going to be physically on my mat. If you're not really a big fan of putting your chair onto your mat, you're welcome to bring it forward, but your foot, your front foot may be the one that's a little bit underneath the chair off of your mat. So if you're okay with your chair being on your mat, I encourage it just for traction. And just to begin, we're going to bring our hands kind of so that we have that first and second knuckle kind of wrapped around the back of the chair a little bit. And then we'll walk our feet back to find a little variation of downward facing dog. So we'll keep walking our heels back until we find that place where our hips, our sits bones, and our heels are kind of nice and stacked here. We lengthen out through the crown of our head so we make our way nice and long. We want to keep our head kind of right in the middle, so my arms and ears are kind of side by side. We can be up a little bit more if you choose here, but making your way kind of right even is best. Little softness in knees is encouraged here, especially if that helps you get a little bit straighter into your back, even if that means bending a little bit more into your knees. We'll start to walk our way back forward, and we'll just take some small steps just to begin. And we kind of come and unfold up at the same time. Hands are going to stay to our chair most of the time, and I'll give you options as we go along. We'll start first with just finding our mountain pose. So we find our feet. So kind of look down at your feet, make sure that they're about hip width apart. Your left toes are going to step a little bit further forward. So I kind of think about the back chair leg of my chair and kind of pass my left toes a little further forward than that back chair leg. And then the right foot is going to take a big step back. The back foot goes to a 45-degree angle. So your chair should be quite reachable still. And if it needs to, you can always pick it up and bring it in closer. But we want to kind of think of it, I always think of a shopping cart, that I'm really pushing it. And check in front knee and ankle nice and stacked. And feel free if you need a little bit more space between your legs to continue to work on trying to find that good place here for your body. So strong into your feet, strong into your legs. You probably feel like we're kind of getting really strong and mighty here. So we get strong and active into our feet, which kind of gets strong and active into our legs. And you can kind of feel that nice strength here in the tops of your thighs. And shoulders can relax down. And you choose, so you can just stay right here if you choose. I'm going to bring my chair in just an inch so I can kind of hold it a little bit better. And then you decide if you'd like to extend one arm up towards the ceiling. And then we still keep the shoulders nice and plugged in. So it's really just extending the arm up. So it's not reaching it up, it's just extending. And you can switch if you'd like. So maybe right hand wants to come down, left hand comes up. Again, strong into your feet. So check in with the big toe side of the front foot and the little toe side of the back foot. See how that feels here for you, if that kind of activates into your legs a little bit more. If you feel like you've got a good balance, you can extend both arms at the same time. Just a couple of breaths here with me. And we'll start to return one or both arms down at the same time, whichever you prefer. And then we're going to add a little bit of movement. So we'll take this right foot and we're going to bring it back forward, but we're going to bring it right back. So you really could just adjust it, but I really want you to get your feet into the right position. So we'll bring our right foot forward. And then this time, so I want you to take a second and just kind of notice your hip points and know how they're kind of facing your chair. And then we'll take the right foot back. We're not going to step as far back as we did before, but we're going to step it straight back and we'll stay on the ball and the toes of our back foot. So it's really essentially the same pose, but it's more of a lunge position. And we still have our hands to our chair. So you determine how far back you want to go. I'm going to go back a little bit more because I need just a little bit of challenge here. I don't want to feel like it's really easy, but I don't want to feel like it's too challenging either. And if it kind of draws on that back hip, that's okay too. We kind of encourage these little hip openers that, again, don't feel like too much of a challenge. Whoa, too much of a challenge for you, but enough that you feel like this is a little bit of a workout, that we're developing some muscle strength. And so from here, we'll start our movements. So hands going to stay here to your chair. We're just going to lift up onto our heel, which straightens into our front leg. And then we'll exhale and we'll lower back down. We're going to just keep doing this. So we inhale, we lift it up, exhale, and lower down. And we just continue this. This is all we're going to do really. And we just continue. So we exhale and lower, inhale, and lift. Exhale, we lower. Inhale, we lift. So if you're feeling good here, you want to try a little bit of extra work, you've got this chair for support, maybe add some arms. So you can kind of be, I think of a little penguin. You can have little penguin wings. If you're feeling so inclined, you're feeling like you're ready, you can bring them up even higher. And for some of us, maybe you instinctually want to bring your arms up forward in front of you. That's okay too. You can always just bring one. And you can switch them out if you'd like, or just do the opposite arm, because we're going to do both sides. So you could do the opposite arm on the other side if you choose. I kind of like little penguin arms, little wings. And we'll just do about 2 more of these. It's probably feeling a little challenging now, and that's good. We kind of want a little bit of a challenge, but we don't want too much. So just one more with me here. Maybe we could hold it. Hold the chair if you need to. Maybe we come down. hands back to your chair. We're going to take this back foot and we're going to bring it back to that 45-degree angle. So we'll take the right foot back and we'll shift it so that it's back to kind of that warrior one stance that we started with, but our legs are a little shorter in distance from each other. So we have a little bit more wiggle room. We have this option to kind of adjust the position of our chair. So remember that you can kind of adjust it as we go along, and you may not want to. We'll just kind of see how we feel. So we have front leg is still straight, and we still have back foot back to that 45-degree angle. Front leg, even though it's straight, we have that option to bend into our front knee if we'd like, just a little bit, maybe a little micro bend. Hands to the tops of your chair, and we'll just slowly start to hinge at our hips and lead with our chest. We hinge forward. Press into your feet a little bit. And then we're going to come back up. So press into your feet, draw your belly muscles in, we come back up. And we're going to do that again. So we slowly hinge. And then we slowly unhinge. Press into your feet, unhinge back up. We're going to do that one more time, just like that. Really keep this length. Unhinge, press into your feet, come all the way up. And then this time we're going to stay down. So we'll slowly hinge once more. So you probably notice maybe your chair is going to get in your way. So kind of draw your chair a little further away. Hands to your chair. We hinge at our hips. We lead with our chest. So you can just pause right here. Chest kind of parallel to the floor. That's where I recommend you be. And you can kind of adjust where you bring your hands. You can even kind of shift your chair in to create that good adjustment for you so that you have that good stability. But don't be afraid to use your belly muscles to hold your body up. So you can just kind of use this chair for support, but try to use your core muscles to hold yourself here. So strong into your feet, strong into your belly. And lengthening out to the crown of our head, so we keep this length here. And we'll start to really press into our feet. We'll unhinge, we come up, so use your chair for support. So now your chair might be too far forward, so maybe take a second, bring it back forward for you, so it's probably right back where you need it. Hands for support to your chair. We'll step our right foot forward when you're ready. And take a moment here just to notice. Noticing your breath again. And just notice how your body feels in this position, and maybe how it differs from when you were here earlier. And then we'll use our hands for support. So we're going to use these little kind of first knuckles here, kind of wrap your little fingertips around the top of your chair, take a few steps back. We'll make our way to that variation of our downward facing dog with our chair, where we lengthen into our spine. We kind of pause when we feel like our heels and our sits bones are nice and stacked. We find this length, little softness in knees is perfect. Again, ears and arms are kind of side by side. Couple of breaths here. Feeling strong and stable in our pose. And we'll start to unhinge and walk ourselves forward at the same time. So we just kind of step and unhinge at the same time. Right foot's going to be the one to be a little bit further forward this time. So this is the time where it's going to be a little bit further forward than the back chair leg. And then your left foot is going to take a big step back. So again, this time back foot 45-degree angle. So we'll start first with our warrior one. And we just kind of check in. So again, our hip points are still facing forward. We're strong into our legs here. If you need to bring your chair in a little bit so that you don't feel like you're kind of hunching over to reach it, I want you to feel like you're open here. So even if that means bringing your chair in even more, that's always okay. And we just kind of check in how we feel. And shoulders down away from our ears. And then we can kind of play with how much you want to extend arms up overhead. So you can, again, we kind of did opposite. So maybe this time your right hand's going to stay and maybe your left fingertips are reaching up. Or maybe you want to have both. You decide. Again, we'll think about that inner part of our front foot kind of pressing in and the outer part of our back foot. So it kind of arranges things a little differently, activates different places into our feet and into our legs for different stability, a little bit more strength. We'll have 2 more breaths here. And we'll slowly start to bring our left fingertips or both fingertips back down to your chair. And we'll step our left foot forward, but we're going to step it right back in just a moment. I just want you to keep in mind where these hip points are. And then when we step our left foot back, this time we're going to be on the ball and toes of our back foot. So you can kind of wiggle it back a little bit if you feel you need to make it a little further back so that you have that good position. And then we'll start first with our front knee and ankle nice and stacked with our bent knee. And then you can kind of start to lift the back heel, straightening into the front legs. So we just kind of move in and out with our breath. So we exhale, lower, inhale, we lift. Exhale, we lower. Inhale, we lift. So you might kind of be a little bit sturdier on this side. Maybe you're already ready to add arms. Remember, we can just do one arm. We don't have to do arms at all if it's just not working on this side for you. And we just find where we are, and with this strength, we find what length we can. So we're still being nice and tall, still keeping this length here, strengthening into our feet and our legs. Even into our buttocks here, building balance, stability. So let's do about 2 more. So you decide how you would like to spend these last 2. And I kind of paused at that last one, where we just kind of pause a moment and hold that just to see kind of how it feels. And we lower back down when you're ready. Hands come back to your chair. Left foot steps forward again. Or you can just kind of adjust it so that it's back to that 45-degree angle. Either way is perfect. Again, hips facing forward. So all 3 of these poses that we're doing, all these positions, hips are facing forward. And we have hands to our chair. And we're going to hinge right here at our hips. And we'll lead with our chest. We hinge forward. So you might just go where you start to feel a good deep stretch. And then we unhinge. Press into your feet. Unhinge. Belly strong. We'll do that again. We hinge at our hips and lead with our chest. Unhinge, we make our way up. And one more time when you're ready. We hinge here. Unhinge, nice and slow. And this time, whenever we come up, we're going to go all the way in. So you might want to shift your chair a little bit further forward because I don't want you to hit your head on it. When you're ready, we hinge at our hips and we lead with our chest. We hinge forward. And then you can kind of gauge how far down you would like to go. We kind of stayed chest parallel to our mat. So belly strong, press into your feet. Kind of use your whole body here, but kind of focus on keeping your belly nice and strong so that as you lengthen here, you're creating a lot of strength. Again, lots of balance here as well. You can use your chair however you choose for support. Just whatever feels good, especially into your low back. But drawing those belly muscles in will certainly help to keep low back nice and safe. And one more breath with me here. And when you're ready, we'll start to use our hands for support and kind of make our way back up. Belly strong, press into your feet, unhinge, come all the way up. Left foot, when you're ready, steps forward. If you want, let's bring our chair back onto our mat just a little bit. Kind of first couple of knuckles to our chair so that we're kind of linking our fingers around the chair. Start to walk your feet back until you feel like your heels and your hips or your heels and your sits bones are nice and stacked, lengthening all the way out to the crown of your head. And we'll slowly start to step our way back forward, unhinge at the same time. Make your way back up tall, back to the top of your chair. We're going to use our chair for support, and we're going to make our way down to our back. So from here, so you'll need to kind of shift your chair a little bit further forward, but you can use your chair for support or just make your way to your mat, however you choose. And I always just like to make sure that you have that support as you make your way down. So we're going to need our blocks, and we're going to need them one on either side of us. And let's take our blanket and let's make a little bit of a padding underneath of our knees. We need some cat-cow movements. Again, this one is a little bit more intense in a good way. So we find our way to finding our wrist and shoulder stacked. And we just check in to where our knees and our hips are. So we want to make sure that our knees and hips, I'm going to move this over, but keep yours where it is. I just want you to be able to see me well. And from here, we'll just start to find that light in the center of your chest. We're just going to shine it forward. So you can kind of shine it towards your chair legs here. And on your exhale, chest towards our hips, chin towards chest. Inhale, we lengthen in. So we lengthen through the front of our body. Again, our gaze just kind of at the horizon here, not very far. Exhale, round. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, round into your spine. And we just continue these movements. So really lengthen, and you can kind of notice how these movements feel for you. So how could you make these movements feel good for your body? Could you exaggerate them or keep them more simple? Let's finish this one that we're working on. And when you're finished, we'll slowly come down to our hips towards our heels. And just for a little something different, widen your knees a little bit. Then find your forehead resting down. And I know what you may be thinking. So some of you may be thinking, hey, Mandy, I can't quite get my forehead down to my mat without lifting my sits bones. So if that's you, bring your knees a little bit closer in, more like hip width apart. Bring yourself a little bit further forward. Forehead comes down to your mat. And we lengthen out here. So our sits bones this way is a little bit higher. And nevertheless, our arms are relaxed. Our forehead is heavy. Slowly we'll start to make our way back up. So take your time in doing so. Doesn't need to take forever, but we'll take a moment to come up. And then we'll slowly make our way up so we'll remove this blanket out from under us. And then come down to our backs. So you, again, may want to shift your chair further forward so that it's just out of your way. And again, we have a block on either side of us. We have that blanket over to the side for us. And then we'll find our legs stretched out long in front of us, toes pointed up towards the ceiling. And we have our blocks close by because we're going to need them in a moment. And we'll extend our arms straight out so that we kind of think about our shoulders and our wrists kind of nice and stacked. And our legs are going to shift. So, and I'm kind of make sure, because I'm a little tall, I kind of make sure I'm towards the end of my mat because you're going to shift a little bit. Your legs are going to kind of move, but keep them nice and strong anyway. When you're ready, we just slowly lower down one little bit at a time. Feel free to go a little fast if you need to, but try to take this slow. Slow, slow. It gets a little tough in certain places. And eventually, once you're kind of resting down to your mat, you can kind of just relax your arms down. See, I'm going to bring myself a little bit further down to my mat. And take a moment just to be here. We'll start to bend our knees and bring our feet flat to our mat. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. And just start some little movements, little side-to-side movements. Sometimes circles are a good idea too, just kind of making your way. Anything that feels good to massage the low back. And then whatever you're doing, if there's a directional pattern that you could shift to go in the opposite direction, go for it. Just start to find some movements that feel good. And feel free to pause if there's a really good spot that you want to pause here or there. Always okay here. And then find some stillness. Release your knees. Bring your feet flat to your mats. And then find one of your blocks. Doesn't matter really which one. And we're just going to take it and find the medium width here. And we'll bring our block between our thighs. So we have our arms just to our sides, palms facing down. So I kind of have my arms in an upside down V shape, and we'll just slowly just kind of start to take our knees from side to side. And you'll kind of get into a breath pattern with me, just kind of getting this idea of this movement. And we're just going to start it real slow just to begin. So just kind of this kind of rocking side to side. But we're going to kind of keep the knees in kind of the same plane the whole time. So it's really, most of the mobility is in our hips. So the knees don't really do a lot of moving. They just kind of shift with our movement. And then we'll start to find some breath work with it. So the next time you get to the middle, we'll pause. And then on your exhale, take your knees towards the left side. On your inhale, draw them back in towards the middle. On your exhale, over towards the right side. And this inhale, bring them back towards the middle. Exhale, left side. Inhale, back towards the middle. Exhale, right side. Inhale towards the middle again. Exhale, left side. So just continue. So the inhales towards the middle, exhales to the sides. So just continue. You're probably feeling a lot of strength needed for this, and you're kind of using your whole body. So kind of slightly squeeze your block, but not much, just enough to hold it there. And kind of use your whole body to make these movements, not just relying on one place, but using everything. And we're just going to do one more full round. So that means ending with the right side. So we'll find, when you're ready, this last round, and you can kind of take your time with it if you'd like, just as long as you're able to breathe freely. And we'll find our way back towards the middle when you've finished. And once you're here, you can remove your block. Let's make sure that we have our block on one on either side of us. Draw your knees in towards your chest. And then we'll find some stillness. We'll release our knees, bring your feet flat to your mat again. And this time, let's cross our right leg over our left. And we're gonna use the strength into our left foot. So we're gonna kind of press our weight into our left foot, especially into the heel, to kind of lift your buttocks up and shift it over towards the right. So you can shift it as far over to the far right edge of your mat, but you don't have to. And you'll kind of see why you might need to. But we're kind of turning, so we're a little bit more on the side of our hip here on this left side. And then we'll just slowly bring our knees over towards the left. And that's what our block is here for. I like to take my block and raise it up to that medium height for some support here. And if you need more support, you have your other options over here. So you could take a blanket underneath of this block if you need just a little bit more height, or maybe you need to take 1/2 blocks and stack them and just kind of rest against it instead of resting on it. And just find what works for you. And feel free, if you need to, come back up, shift the hip over a little bit more, and then come back over. Sometimes we just need a little bit more twist in order to get to where we need to. And if you feel good here, and you feel like you can relax, bring your gaze over towards the right. And we'll slowly turn so our gaze is back up towards the ceiling. Let's unravel our legs. We'll start to turn so our hips are both facing up towards the ceiling. So you're going to have to shift your buttocks back and kind of make your way back to the middle. And then we'll start to think about that opposite side. So we'll cross the left leg over the right. And we find our way. So we're going to press into our right foot this time, especially into the heel, to lift your buttocks and bring your hips over towards your left side of your mat. So if you did a little bit more than I did the first time and you want to go ahead and do that, perfect. Start to shift your knees over towards your right side and use your block for support. This side may need more support, and that's okay here. And when you feel you're in that good position, you feel like you're ready to relax and let go, bring your gaze over towards your left side. Arms can be wherever you choose. I always instinctively have my right hand on top of my left hip. It's like I'm always mothering myself in my yoga poses. But you can always just have arms relaxed to your mat or to the floor, kind of either T shape or kind of that upside down V shape. I kind of like when we're kind of relying on support from objects to have my palms down to kind of give myself a little bit of kind of grounding. But if you are good with palms up, I encourage that too. Maybe just our eyes closed for this last breath here in this pose. And we'll slowly start to bring our gaze back towards the ceiling. We're going to remove our block, unravel our legs, and we'll turn ourselves back to where we were started. And you kind of can, I always kind of feel where my hands are and kind of find where my thumbs touch my buttocks to see that I'm kind of back in the middle of my mat. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Any movements here that feel good is perfect. And we'll end our class today with just a little bit of a final relaxation. So we won't do much more than 7 minutes today, but we just want to get some relaxation in. But we're kind of already starting that process here, where we just kind of start to relax and again, just kind of find movements that feel good here into our low back. And, any kind of pattern that you wish to choose, or if you want stillness for a moment. And then we'll start to shift to our final relaxation. So you can release your feet, your knees. So let your feet come flat to your mat. I encourage, for just a little bit of added help here, to roll your mat, or roll your blanket if you have one. And a towel would work. This is just a beach towel. And roll it so that it's right underneath of your knees. And we just find from here, letting our toes fall out to the side, letting our palms be raised up towards the ceiling so that our arms are relaxed to our mat or to our floor beside us. Maybe closing your eyes, maybe shake your head no until you find that good place to just let your head rest. And continue to follow your breath in and out. And notice if there are places in your body where you kind of feel like you're holding on a little bit. So maybe your hands, let's maybe make our hands into tight fists. Real tight. And then completely relax them. And they may not come flat like what we think of hands as coming to. Maybe they stay kind of curled, but they're completely relaxed. And that's all that matters. So you don't have to worry about how they look, just about how they feel. And let your shoulders really draw down towards your mat. And then just really follow this breath all the way in, all the way out. Maybe soften the muscles in your face, starting with your eyebrows and your eyelids and your cheeks. And swallow once. Relax your tongue. Allow your lips to just be soft over your teeth. And relax your jaw all the way to that space behind your ears. And just continue to follow your breath in and out. Maybe relax that space where your neck and shoulders meet. And then relax your shoulders. And then that space below your bottom set of ribs. And then relax your hips. Let them be soft and heavy at the same time. And then relax the tops of your thighs. And then into your knees. Let your ankles be soft all the way to your toes. And just continue to follow your breath in and back out again. And we'll slowly start to make some tiny movements with our fingers and our toes. And slowly start to bend your knees one at a time. Bringing your feet flat to your mat. And eventually draw knees in towards your chest. Find movement side to side, anything that feels good here. And eventually finding stillness and bringing your right arm up above your head to roll to your right side to elevate your heart. Just pausing here a moment. And then using hands for support, coming up to a seated position. And since you have maybe your towel or blanket rolled, just find that right underneath of you to sit down on. If sitting down on the floor is too much for you today, feel free to find your chair and do a closing with me there is always perfect. So just any seated position works for me if it works for you. And just take a moment here to just notice how you feel and how this is different from how you felt when you first rolled out your mat today. Maybe the first point where you checked in. And just take full responsibility for this change because you've created it. You've done this. You've brought this into your life. Thank your body for the work that it does, but don't forget to thank yourself for taking this time out of your day to honor your body's needs. I thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you. And if you enjoyed this video today, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That lets me know that you're interested in the videos that you like. And if you like click the little like button at the bottom of your video screen. That lets me know which videos are the most popular, so I can kind of make more that are similar to that. Any comments that you have for me, I'm always welcome. Again, my name is Mandy. This is My Mandy Yoga. Again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.